Hello, this is my empathy presentation by Natalie B. Crowley at Colorado Christian University. What is empathy? Empathy is our ability to identify what someone else is thinking or feeling and to respond to their thoughts and feelings with an appropriate emotion. Empathy corresponds to the process by which one infers the affective state of another person and experience a similar state in ourselves, while at the same time keeping a distinction between the self and the other. In other words, being aware that the origin of that experience is the other and not oneself. Singer, Critchty, and Pershoff, 2009. We were to give examples of empathy in the New Testament. Although the word empathy is never mentioned in the New Testament, there are great stories of empathy conveyed. God sent a special human being, and this man was Jesus. The New Testament affirms who necessarily empathizes with the human experience because he himself was human. God entered into the human experience, although it shows God's presence with humankind. He became as we are in order that we might become who as he is. We were asked to show some examples of great empathy or lack of empathy, and I chose 3 examples, and they were Eli and Hannah in 1 Samuel 1, 10 through 12. Eli the priest's lack of empathy when he hears Hannah weep and interprets it as drunkenness. Hannah is distraught by her barrenness, and Eli's ability to comprehend Hannah's pain shows lack of empathy. Esau and Jacob in Genesis 25, 19 through 34. When we are able to empathize with Esau and feel his rage when he finds out his brother is taking his birthright. And we can empathize with this because there are those who are taken advantage of, but still may be able to empathize with Jacob because we too are able to remember a time when we have taken advantage of others, and maybe even our own siblings. And the story of David and Nathan in 2 Samuel 11 through 12. The parable of David shows the lack of empathy, and then great empathy when he is taking what is not his, with no regard to how others feel. When Nathan's sheep is slaughtered by a rich man, David responds to Nathan's story with indignation. It's during this time that David shows great empathy for Nathan, and it's ironic how David is blind to his own wrongs. I'm going to focus on the specific biblical event that I had found, and that is David and Bethesda and David and Nathan. When we learn these 2 events, it isn't difficult to see that there's a rift in morality. David shows no empathy when he has taken another man's wife, yet when Nathan suffers at the hands of a rich man, he is angered by this. It then becomes an issue because how can he not see that he has done wrong, and at the same time he dislikes how Nathan has been treated? What I learned from this is that when we do wrong, we are blind to it, and when we only see when others are treated unjustly, and we begin to empathize. But we need to be aware of our own wrongdoings so that we are able to live more righteously. We're going to be talking about how my faith particularly impacts empathy. Faith impacts my empathy by allowing me the grace to see that we all should love one another as God loves us. It makes me realize more thoughtfully that I should care for others more than myself. We all should live in such a way that you put others' needs in front of our own. It makes me think more about my actions. To the weak, I become weak, and I might win the weak. I have become all things to all people, that by all means I might save some. 1 Corinthians 9:22, English Standard Version. A new commandment I give you, that you love one another. Jesus, I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. John 13:34-35, English Standard Version. The implications of neuroscience and empathy. When we see someone that is angry, it activates some of the same neural circuitry as when I myself am angry, allowing me to connect to actions of and mental representation of anger, Dicity and X, 2009. It is because of this process that when we see someone cry, it affects our emotional state as well. God made us beautifully and wonderfully in His image. When we hurt, we affect those around us. And this concludes my presentation.